A deep body of work in economics has studied how discrimination affects labor market outcomes. These papers generally distinguish between taste-based discrimination, in which an employer simply prefers hiring one group over another, and statistical discrimination, in which they believe one group is more productive than the other. This paper considers a third possibility. If employers care about their workers' well-being, they may attempt to protect them from physical injury, reputational damage, or long hours away from home. To the extent this leads them to protect one group differently from another, it may give rise to paternalistic discrimination. This is the differential treatment of two groups to protect one, even against its will, from harmful or unpleasant situations. This paper tests for the presence of paternalistic discrimination against women via a randomized experiment in Bangladesh. 495 employers were recruited to make hiring decisions for a job created by the research team. This was a one-shift, 3-hour Excel workshop, followed by a stock market analysis task, all taking place on the night shift from 7 p.m. to midnight. Each employer made 10 hiring decisions from pairs of male and female applicants, and the authors randomly implemented one hiring choice per employer and paid them based on the performance of that worker. Safe transport home was provided to all workers at the end of the shift, but, crucially, not all employers were informed of this. Half were informed of the transport before they made their hiring decisions, while the other half were not informed. The question, then, is whether knowing about the safe transport affects employers' willingness to hire women. To ensure that other factors were held constant between the transport and no transport groups, employers were informed that all applicants had applied for the job without knowing about the transport, that they would only be informed of it after completing their shift, and that all hiring choices would be private and anonymous. In this way, the experiment was designed to vary employers' perceptions of workers' job costs while holding constant taste-based discrimination, since transport does not affect who chooses to apply, statistical discrimination, since it does not affect workers' on-the-job performance, and employers' reputational concerns. In addition, each applicant pair was shown to multiple employers, which allows the authors to test whether knowing about the transport affects employers' choices for the same woman compared to the same man. Finally, before making their decisions, employers were randomly placed into one of 4 cash treatment groups. Note that the worker subsidy amounts were more than sufficient to cover the estimated cost of an Uber ride from the worksite. This figure summarizes the experimental results. Consistent with paternalistic discrimination, employers who were not informed about the transport hired 21% fewer women. Women were also less likely to be hired in the no transport and female subsidy condition than in the transport and no subsidy condition. This implies that employers do not hire women without transport, even when they know female employees would be able to afford safe transport themselves. As such, employers paternalistically prevent workers from making their own choices. In line with this, employers who displayed strong paternalistic preferences toward women in an administered survey react almost 4 times more strongly to the transport than less paternalistic employers, and responses are stronger among employers who believe women should be relatively risk-averse, but not among those who believe women are relatively risk-averse. There is also evidence that employers believe women underestimate the costs of working at night more than men. As a complement to the employer experiment, the team also conducted an applicant experiment in which applicants to the job were randomly informed of the transport or not. Withholding information on the transport from potential applicants reduces female labor supply by 15%, which is significantly less than the 21% decline in employers' labor demand. And while employers value the safe transport at $14, female workers value it at just $2. To analyze the impact on equilibrium outcomes, the authors combine the results from both the employer and applicant experiments to estimate a labor market model. Their simulations indicate that in this experimental setting, paternalistic discrimination is a more significant factor than either taste-based or statistical discrimination, and eliminating it would reduce the gender employment gap by 48% and the gender wage gap by 68%. Thus, this paper argues that paternalism can be a source of labor market discrimination. While the focus here was on discrimination against women, the same dynamics can apply in any setting where there is a perception that one group faces larger costs from employment than another. This can lead to scenarios where a disadvantaged group may not be hired because of the very costs associated with being disadvantaged, thereby further reinforcing their disadvantaged status. It is also worth noting that in this paper's experiment, the ones who suffered the most from paternalistic discrimination were women with less labor market experience. This suggests that paternalism in other settings may erect barriers to early career employment, which may keep individuals off the career ladder and foreclose future opportunities. To read more on this topic, you can check out the paper's references to other related work. This includes research on discrimination, paternalism, and barriers to female employment more generally.